guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com. And when it's a cold winter day like today, I wish it was summertime. Why? So I could drive sports cars. And one of my favorite sports cars of all time is the Porsche GT3. And in this video, we're going to talk about why this market is going crazy. If you're a regular to the channel, welcome back. If you're new, thanks for visiting, and I hope you subscribe. So I've been buying Porsches for a long time, and I love 911s. And my favorite car of all time, and I should have bought it because I probably missed the market like you did, is the Porsche GT3. Whether it's a 996 GT3 from model year 04 or the new 992 GT3 from model year 2022. We have a 2022 GT3 review on the channel, so be sure to check that out. I love driving GT3s, and so many times I should have bought one. So let's talk about why the market is going crazy. So first of all, a lot of sports cars are going crazy in this market, right? Everything is up 20, 30, 40%. So let's talk about 2019, because in 2019, I almost bought a GT3, and we can compare that price with today's market, which is the winter of 2022. All right, so the GT3, the first GT3, we never got a 996.1. I know Europe did, Germany did. In the United States, the first GT3 we got was technically the 996.2. We got it in 04 and 05 model years. It had the flat six, the 3.6 liter naturally aspirated engine. It put out 380 horsepower, 284 foot-pounds of torque. It had a fixed rear wing, not a wing that goes up, fixed, and it weighed just barely over 3,000 pounds. Now, for a long time, those cars were in the $50,000 range. Even I remember some high 40s in like the maybe 2000, I don't know, 2008, 2010, 2011, when the market kind of dropped on these cars. My favorite has always been the 997 GT3s. So the .1 cars, which 997.1 cars were sold here in model year 0708. They had the 3.6 liter flat six, and they produced 415 horsepower, 299 foot-pounds of torque, still just over 3,000 pounds. Just like the 996 you can get with steel or ceramic brakes, and again, that 3.6 liter flat six. Then later on, the second generation of the 997 cars, which are known as the 997.2 cars, which were sold model years 2010, 2011, bumped it up to a 3.8 liter, 435 horsepower, 317 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 times are now down to 4.1 seconds, according to Porsche, so you could probably beat that by a little bit. And the 3.8 liter cars, how you can tell them from a distance, since they do look similar to the 997.1 generation, is they have the center lock wheels. And then, of course, you know all about the 991 GT3s. There's a .1 version of that, .2 version. .1s are model year 2014-15. They only came in PDK. And it was actually, I think, the heaviest GT3 at that time. Still kept the 3.8 liter engine and 475 horsepower, about 324 pounds of torque. So those always have been the cheapest GT3s. They're PDKs only. The 997s and 996s, .1, .2 version were manual only. Then we came out with the 991.2 GT3s, which here in the United States, model year 2018, you can get a PDK or a manual. And shockingly, good for us enthusiasts, 70% of those .2 cars were made with a manual transmission. Now they went from a 3.8 to a 4.0 liter flat six, 500 horsepower, and you can get a 0 to 60 time in the threes, and it is quicker with the PDK than with the manual transmission. So back in 2019, when I still had the McLaren 570S, it had some electrical problems, as you can see in my videos of all the videos I did on the 570S when I had it. And you know what? An exotic PDK car, dual clutch car really wasn't for me. I wanted to get a manual, and what better to do that than Porsches? So I was seriously considering a GT3. So I almost bought a 997.1 GT3, and I also, my second choice, close second, was a 991.2 GT3. So I can tell you the exact prices of those cars, and we can see what they would be in today's market and see how much they actually went up. So the 997.1 car was a CPO from a Porsche dealer, the 3.6. It had steel brakes. I think it was in 08, not in 07, if I remember correctly. And it had 33,000 miles, and the Porsche dealership wanted 93,000. I was hoping to get them down to about 90,000. I could sell the McLaren, have plenty of money left over. But I think the real reason I didn't buy it is it was gray, and I really wanted a color. I wanted red, blue, cobalt blue, which is the blue color, yellow, red, some kind of bright color, and that's pretty rare on the 997.1s, even on the 997.2s. So at that time, this was CPO from a Porsche dealer, so you got a 2-year unlimited mile warranty. It had a service book like this. It had so many services. This car, thousands and thousands of dollars in service. I remember it had like a $7,000 service at the Porsche dealer. So I should have bought that car, but I think I didn't buy it because it was gray. But it was priced really high, but how much is the CPO warranty worth it for you? So at that time, you can get a 10,000 mile car for about 90. A 30,000 mile car would be about 70. So I didn't want to pay 93,000 for a 30,000 mile car, but that's cheap potatoes. So that car, from that 70-90 range, a 30,000 mile 997.1. So this is just 07s, 08s, like the one I looked at, which I'm pretty sure was an 08. Yeah, unless it was an 07, but I think it was an 08. Are now about 135,000. So they went up from that 70 to 90 range to 135. They went up almost, 30, 40%. They went up 40 to 60 grand, depending, in just over 2 years. So this was like October of 2019, and say, let's February 2022 now, or January, February 22, it went up 40 to 60,000 in just 26 months, which is really amazing. Worth every penny for sure, but that's how much the GT3 market had gone up. So let's talk about now the 2018 GT3, and then after we can close and why it's gone up so high. So still when I had my McLaren, a second choice, and I probably would have done it if I could have, there was a Miami Blue, just like my car now, but a GT3, manual transmission, 991.2 with a 4-liter motor, 500 horsepower, MSRP of 165. So this car was slightly used. Probably somebody bought it thinking to flip it. It had maybe 1,000 miles on it, 2,000 miles, and they wanted to sell it for full sticker. It was being consigned by a Porsche dealership. They didn't give me anywhere near that for the McLaren. They wanted to give me like 125 for the McLaren, so I didn't make the trade. But if I could have sold the McLaren privately and got in that ballpark, I probably would have bought that car. So that had an MSRP in 2018 of 165. Now that same car with mileage on it is over 200,000, 200, 205, 210, 215, incredible amount. So that car also went up about 60,000. So why do these GT3s going up? Is it the car is that good? Well, the car is really good. And I think a lot of it has to do, and leave your comment below what you think it is. Obviously, there's only so many cars for sale now. There's a lack of new GT3s, and people are still waiting for that 992 GT3. So a lot of people, I think, are hanging on to their old car, but they made thousands of GT3s. If you count on the 991.2, they made thousands of GT3s, thousands more than Carrera. So you're more likely actually to find a 992.2 GT3 in Miami Blue in a stick than you are to find a Miami Blue Carrera like I have in a stick. That's how common the 991.2 GT3s were. It was actually the most popular 911 for those years. So there's going to be a lot. They're just not coming for sale. I think we're going to see them at some point with the 992 GT3s. So part of it is the storage, part of it is the lack of new cars. And I think a big portion of it is with everything going electric or hybrid, people are like, oh, this is the last combustion cars we're going to be able to buy. The last stick shifts we're going to buy, we already see stick shifts going away. Thank God. You can still get in the 992 if you get an S model, but not the base. So obviously that day's coming. So if you were waiting for a GT, oops, just hit my glasses here. If you were waiting for a GT3, my sunglasses, if you were waiting for a GT3, now's the time to buy it, because they're not going to be around anymore. They're not going to make a 997 GT3 ever again, or a more track-focused 996 GT3. They're trying to make the track focus, obviously, for the 992 GT3, making more tracks focus. Remember, the 997.1s came with the sunroof. It comes with sticky tires, but you can certainly put a more daily driver tire on it and use it as a daily driver, even though the 997 does have a heavy clutch. So I think those are the reasons we're seeing it: a lack of new cars, people waiting, say, for the 992 GT3s, holding on to their old ones. They may give up a 991.1 or .2 for a 992 GT3, but I don't think people are going to give up their 997 GT3s, whether .1s or .2s or 996 GT3s, which you see hardly any of. So I think if you could buy one, it still may be a good investment a long time. There may be some reset as new cars come on and everything's more available today, and chips and everything like that, and maybe hybrids and electric cars pushed out to 2035 or something. So there'll be dips in the market. Don't buy it thinking it's going to go all the way up. But if you can buy a GT3 and hold it for 10 years, I think you'll do fine. If you're going to try to flip it next year because you want a Z06 Corvette, you could lose money when things come back to normal. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a 10 to 20% reset. But again, I think they're more going to be on, hybrids, small SUVs, M3s with 100,000 miles. I think the low mileage, all original paint, non-accident cars, whether it's a GT3, E46 M3, will continue to rise in value. What happens is, when fear of missing out, people just buy every one of those cars, accident salvage cars, cars with motors replaced, and they have 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles, and those cars are probably going to reset. But the cleanest of the clean, those clean cars go to attrition. People buy them. People get into accidents. So there's less and less every year, just like what we see in the S2000 market. Totally different market with GT3s. But I think long haul, like a stock, buying Apple or Microsoft, a long haul, you're going to be okay. So that's what I think. Let me know in the comments below, and GT3 is still one of my favorite cars. Browse the channel, guys and girls. We have 900 videos on the channel, over 800 different cars. And let me know what you think. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you next time.